17. R&B stars who were forgotten after one hit. Imagine a world where your voice echoes in every car club and home across the globe, only for the industry to pull the plug while the world is still screaming your name. These aren't just forgotten names. They are the architects of anthems that defined your life, now living in the shadows of a billion-dollar machine that traded their souls for the next viral trend. Welcome to Black Excellence Legends, where we exhume the truth behind the industry's most tragic vanishings. Are these artists failures of talent or victims of a rigged system? Drop your verdict in the comments below. Eden's Crush. The dawn of the 21st century witnessed a massive shift in how musical talent was discovered, moving away from smoke-filled clubs toward the high-definition glare of reality television. Eden's Crush stands as a definitive blueprint for this era. Formed in late 2000 through the American version of the international franchise Pop Stars, which aired on the now-defunct WB network, the group was the brainchild of legendary producer David Foster. Hundreds of hopeful young women auditioned, but the rigorous selection process eventually whittled the competition down to 5 distinct personalities: Yvette Sosa Miley, Missa John, Ana Maria Lombo, Rosanna Tavares, and a future global icon, Nicole Scherzinger. Their ascent was instantaneous. Leveraging the massive weekly television exposure, the quintet secured a lucrative recording contract with London Sire Records. Their debut single, Get Over Yourself, was a polished piece of bubblegum pop R&B that perfectly captured the sonic aesthetic of 2001. The track was a commercial juggernaut, skyrocketing to #1 in Canada and clinching the #8 spot on the US Billboard Hot 100. Their inaugural album, Pop Stars, achieved gold certification, proving that the reality-to-radio pipeline was a viable goldmine. They toured with industry titans like NSYNC and Jessica Simpson, appearing to be the next dominant force in the girl group landscape. However, the industry's volatility proved to be their undoing. Despite their initial triumph, the group's foundation crumbled, not due to a lack of fans, but because of corporate restructuring. In early 2002, their label folded, leaving the members without financial backing or promotional support. Internal friction and the absence of a safety net led to their dissolution shortly thereafter. While most members transitioned into acting or hosting, Nicole Scherzinger used the experience as a springboard, eventually becoming the lead singer of the Pussycat Dolls and a solo superstar. Today, Eden's Crush remains a nostalgic relic of the early 2000s. A reminder that in the music business, even a top 10 hit cannot guarantee survival against the whims of a failing record label. Lumidee. In the scorching summer of 2003, one specific minimalist rhythm echoed from car speakers in Harlem to the beach clubs of Ibiza. That sound belonged to Lumidee, a young Puerto Rican-American artist from Spanish Harlem, who became the face of a cross-cultural musical explosion. Unlike the heavily polished R&B starlets of the era, Lumidee possessed a raw, street-ready vocal style that blended singing and rapping in a way that felt authentic to the New York City pavement. Her breakthrough was not just a song, it was a rhythmic revolution built on the legendary Diwali Riddim, a dancehall beat produced by Stephen Lanky Marsden that dominated the global charts during that period. Her signature masterpiece, Never Leave You a Ooh, was an exercise in catchy simplicity. While critics sometimes pointed to her off-key vocal delivery, the public embraced its vulnerability and infectious energy. The track was a monumental international success, peaking at #3 on the US Billboard Hot 100 and reaching the #2 spot in the United Kingdom. Its universal appeal led to a high-profile remix featuring Busta Rhymes and Fabulous, cementing its status as a definitive urban anthem. Her debut album, Almost Famous, released under Universal Records, moved over 270,000 copies in the United States, suggesting the arrival of a major new force in the industry. However, the rapid evolution of the American music scene proved difficult to navigate for a sophomore effort. Rather than chasing the changing trends of US radio, Lumidee made a strategic and successful pivot toward Europe and the burgeoning reggaeton movement. She recognized that her sound resonated deeply in markets like Germany, France, and Belgium. In 2007, she returned with her second album, Unexpected, which featured the hit She's Like the Wind. While it didn't reach the dizzying heights of her debut in America, it solidified her as a versatile performer capable of crossing genres from dancehall to hip-hop. Today, Lumidee remains a respected figure in the international circuit, proving that one hit in the US can actually be a passport to a sustained global career. Oran Juice Jones. In the mid-1980s, the landscape of rhythm and blues underwent a radical transformation, blending traditional soul with the burgeoning attitude of hip-hop. At the center of this shift was Oran Juice Jones, an artist whose background was as formidable as his vocal range. Before stepping into the recording booth, Jones was a man of strict discipline and lethal skill, having graduated from the United States Naval Academy in 1981 and served as a sniper officer in the Marine Corps. This military precision transitioned into a sharp artistic vision when he became the inaugural artist signed to OBR Records, the R&B subsidiary of the legendary Def Jam label. Under the mentorship of Russell Simmons, Jones was positioned to bridge the gap between streetwise charisma and melodic sophistication. The pinnacle of his career arrived in 1986 with the release of the cinematic masterpiece, The Rain. This track was far more than a standard heartbreak ballad. It was a dramatic narrative that utilized a moody synthesized backdrop to tell a story of infidelity and confrontation. While the verses showcased his smooth tenor, the song's true immortality lay in its iconic spoken word outro. In a cold, calculated monologue, Jones systematically dismantles his unfaithful partner's excuses, famously telling her to cancel the programmed and pack your bags. The song was a commercial juggernaut, peaking at number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100 and reigning at the top of the R&B charts for 2 weeks. It earned him 2 Grammy nominations, cementing his place in the cultural zeitgeist of the 80s. Despite the massive success of The Rain, Jones found it difficult to replicate that specific cultural lightning. He released 2 follow-up albums, GTO Gangsters Taken Over and To Be Immortal, but neither resonated with the public with the same intensity. By the late 1990s, he took an unconventional path, collaborating with adult film star Midori on experimental music projects before quietly withdrawing from the industry to focus on family and personal ventures. Today, Oran Juice Jones is remembered as a pioneer who brought a gritty narrative edge to R&B, proving that sometimes one perfectly executed story is enough to leave an eternal footprint on the airwaves. Sunshine Anderson. At the dawn of the 21st century, the R&B genre was searching for a voice that resonated with the everyday struggles and triumphs of modern women. That voice arrived in the form of Sunshine Anderson, a North Carolina native whose organic blend of neo-soul and gritty R&B offered a refreshing alternative to the highly synthesized pop of the time. Discovered by Vice President of Atlantic Records, Mike City while she was working a government job, Sunshine's transition from an HR specialist to a chart-topping singer felt like a true Cinderella story. She possessed a smoky conversational alto that made listeners feel as though they were receiving advice from a wise close friend. Her meteoric rise was fueled by the 2001 anthem, Heard It All Before. The song was a masterclass in relatable storytelling, depicting a woman who had finally run out of patience for her partner's repetitive excuses and lies. The track's infectious groove and defiant lyrics struck a chord, globally peaking at number 18 on the Billboard Hot 100 and reaching a staggering number 3 on the R&B charts. Her debut album, Your Woman, capitalized on this momentum, debuting at number 8 on the Billboard 200 and eventually earning a gold certification from the RIAA. Sunshine wasn't just a singer, she was a symbol of empowerment for a generation of women who refused to be sidelined in their relationships. Despite the monumental success of her first effort, the path forward was fraught with industry complications. A label switch to Matthew Knowles' Music World Entertainment in 2004 promised a major comeback, but the resulting 2007 album, Sunshine at Midnight, failed to capture the zeitgeist like her debut, reaching only number 86 on the charts. While her subsequent project, The Sunshines Again, 2010, showcased her continued vocal growth, the shifting tides of digital music consumption left her in a niche market. Today, Sunshine Anderson remains a beloved figure in the soul community. While the mainstream may focus on her one giant hit, her legacy lives on as a vocalist who brought real talk back to the radio, proving that authenticity is a timeless currency. Joe Public. The early 1990s marked the peak of New Jack Swing, a high-energy fusion of R&B melodies and hip-hop rhythms. Amidst this cultural explosion emerged Joe Public, a 4-man powerhouse hailing from Buffalo, New York. Unlike many vocal groups of the era who relied solely on choreography and harmonies, Joe Public distinguished themselves as a true self-contained band. Consisting of Kevin Scott, Jake Carter, Dwight Wyatt, and Joe Sales, these musicians played their own instruments, bringing a raw, live energy grit to the urban soundscape. Originally performing under the name Attention in the late 80s, their evolution into Joe Public signaled a more sophisticated, socially conscious, and musically diverse approach to the genre. Their defining moment arrived in 1992 with the release of the massive crossover hit Live and Learn. The track was an undeniable groove characterized by its funky bass line and an uplifting message about navigating life's obstacles through experience. It was the perfect anthem for a generation looking for substance beneath the dance floor glitter. The song climbed to number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100, securing its place as an iconic staple of early 90s radio. The group's musical credibility was further cemented when they made history as the first R&B group to perform on MTV Unplugged. During this legendary session, they not only performed their own hits, but also served as the backing band for heavyweights like Boyz II Men and Shawnee's, showcasing a level of versatility that few of their peers could match. Despite their immense technical skill and a successful debut album that reached number 15 on the R&B charts, the group struggled to maintain their momentum as the music industry shifted toward the darker, more aggressive sounds of G-Funk and Neo-Soul. Their follow-up album, 1994's Easy Come, Easy Go, failed to produce another top 40 hit, and the group eventually transitioned into songwriting and production for other superstars like Keith Sweat and Tyrese. While they may be categorized as one-hit wonders, in the pop world, Joe Public's legacy in the R&B community remains significant. They proved that R&B could be both a live instrumental art form and a commercial success, leaving behind a blueprint for musicality that continues to inspire bands today. MoKenStef. In the vibrant landscape of 1990, the R&B world was dominated by smooth harmonies and street-smart sensibilities. Emerging from the competitive music scene of Los Angeles, MoKenStef represented the perfect fusion of these elements. The group's name was a clever portmanteau of the 3 founding members' first names, Monifa, Kenya, and Stephanie. Before they ever stepped into a recording studio, these women were already deeply embedded in the entertainment industry as professional dancers, appearing in high-profile music videos for hip-hop legends like Big Daddy Kane and AMG. This background provided them with a natural stage presence and a rhythmic intuition that many of their contemporaries lacked. Their transition from background performers to the main attraction was fueled by a chance encounter at Outburst Records, where their raw vocal chemistry immediately captivated label executives. The definitive chapter of their career was written with the release of their 1995 debut single, He's Mine. This track was a masterclass in mid-tempo R&B production, utilizing a clever sample of Zapp's Be Alright to create a sound that was simultaneously nostalgic and contemporary. The song's lyrical theme, a defiant and confident assertion of a woman's place in a relationship, struck a massive chord with listeners across the United States. He's Mine became an undeniable commercial powerhouse, peaking at number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100 and earning a gold certification after selling over 600,000 copies. The song was a staple of summer radio, and its success propelled their debut album As Is into the spotlight, showcasing a group that possessed both the vocal range of church-trained singers and the effortless cool of LA street culture. Despite the monumental impact of their first single, the group became a casualty of the industry's rapid shifts and internal label struggles. Plans for follow-up singles, including a soulful cover of Smokey Robinson's Baby Come Close and a remix of Michael Jackson's I Can't Help It, were unfortunately shelved and have failed to receive the necessary promotional push. By the time the late 90s arrived, the group's momentum had dissipated, and the members eventually chose to pursue individual paths outside of the mainstream spotlight. Today, MoKenStef is remembered for providing one of the most iconic R&B anthems of the decade. They remain a quintessential example of the 90s girl group era, a time when 3 voices and a great sample could define the sound of a generation, even if only for one shining moment. Of Anita Ward. The story of the 1970s music scene cannot be told without mentioning the meteoric and unexpected ascent of Anita Ward. A native of Memphis, Tennessee, Ward's journey began far from the strobe lights and glitter of the dance floor. Armed with a degree in psychology, she was a dedicated substitute teacher who spent her days educating students only singing in her spare time. Her transition from the classroom to the top of the global charts happened by a stroke of fate when she met producer Frederick Knight. Knight was initially looking for a singer to record a track he had written for a young artist named Stacey Ladisaw, but when that deal fell through, he offered the opportunity to Ward. The song in question was Ring My Bell. Originally written with juvenile lyrics about kids talking on the telephone, Knight reworked the verses to suit a more mature club-oriented audience. Anita Ward was initially hesitant, preferring soulful ballads over the burgeoning disco sound, but she eventually agreed to record the upbeat track. The result was a cultural explosion. Released in 1979, Ring My Bell became an international phenomenon characterized by its infectious, high-pitched synthesizer pops and Ward's crystal-clear, bird-like vocals. The song achieved the rare feat of hitting #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, the R&B charts, and the UK singles chart simultaneously. It became the definitive anthem of the late disco era, earning Ward a Grammy nomination for Best Female R&B Vocal Performance. However, the immense shadow cast by Ring My Bell proved impossible to escape. Her debut album, Songs of Love, was a success, but her follow-up project, Sweet Surrender, struggled to find an audience as the disco sucks movement began to dismantle the genre's popularity. Industry disputes with her label and a traumatic car accident further stalled her momentum. Despite a brief comeback attempt in the late 80s, Ward eventually decided to leave the grueling music industry behind to focus on her family and return to her roots in education. Today, Anita Ward is celebrated as one of the most iconic one-hit wonders in history. Ring My Bell remains a timeless dance floor staple, a shimmering reminder of a moment when a school teacher's voice captured the heartbeat of the world. Blu Cantrell. The early 2000s R&B scene was often characterized by a glossy, high-budget aesthetic, but Blu Cantrell brought a level of vocal sophistication and jazzy soul that felt distinct from the bubblegum trends of the era. Born Tiffany Cobb in Providence, Rhode Island, she was raised in a musical household. Her mother was a jazz singer, a lineage that clearly influenced Blu's rich velvety tone and impeccable phrasing. Before the world knew her name, she was a seasoned professional behind the scenes, providing backing vocals for icons like Sean Diddy Combs. Her breakthrough was the result of a chance meeting with Red Zone Entertainment executives, which led to a contract with Arista Records under the legendary mentorship of L.A. Reid. Her arrival in 2001 was nothing short of explosive. The lead single from her debut album, So Blue, titled Hit 'Em Up Style Oops, became an instant feminist anthem of retribution. The song's clever narrative about a woman spending her unfaithful partner's money on a luxury shopping spree struck a chord with millions. Musically, it was a masterpiece of swing R&B, utilizing a catchy big band sample that stood out in a sea of synthesized beats. The track soared to #2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and topped the mainstream Top 40 chart, earning her 2 Grammy nominations. Her follow-up success in 2003 with Breathe, featuring dancehall star Sean Paul, further proved her international appeal, dominating the UK singles chart for 4 consecutive weeks and becoming one of the biggest global hits of the year. Despite possessing one of the most versatile voices in the industry, capable of effortless jazz runs and powerful R&B belts, Blu Cantrell's trajectory was cut short by industry politics and personal choice. When her mentor, L.A. Reid, left Arista, she found herself in a state of label limbo. Rather than compromising her artistic integrity or battling the changing corporate landscape, she largely stepped away from the mainstream spotlight after 2005. While she has occasionally teased new material in subsequent years, her recorded legacy remains defined by those early millennium years. Today, Blu Cantrell is remembered as a powerhouse vocalist who combined high-fashion glamour with raw, relatable emotion, leaving behind 2 of the most enduring hits of the 2000s. Silentó. The mid-2010s witnessed a seismic shift in the music industry as social media platforms like Vine and YouTube began to dictate the global charts. At the epicenter of this digital revolution was Ricky Hawk, better known by his stage name, Silentó. A high school student from Atlanta, Georgia, Silentó represented a new breed of artist, one who understood that in the modern age, a song was no longer just a collection of melodies, but a blueprint for a global participatory experience. After losing a local talent show, he channeled his frustration into creation, uploading a track to SoundCloud that would eventually rewrite the rules of viral marketing. His 2015 debut single, Watch Me Whip Nay Nay, was a cultural juggernaut designed for the internet era. The song functioned as a rhythmic instructional manual, weaving together popular street dances like the whip, the nay-nay, and the stanky leg. Its ascent was astronomical, fueled by the hashtag Watch Me dance. Unchallenged, the track bypassed traditional gatekeepers to reach number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 and stay on the charts for over a year. By the beginning of 2026, the music video has amassed nearly 2 billion views on YouTube, cementing its status as one of the most watched clips in digital history. Silentó's success led to a major deal with Capitol Records and high-profile performances on stages like Good Morning America, making him the face of the viral dance phenomenon. However, the transition from an internet sensation to a long-term musical career proved to be an insurmountable challenge. His 2018 album, fresh out of high school, failed to replicate the massive commercial appeal of his debut, and critical reception was lukewarm. Tragically, Silentó's story took a dark and permanent turn, far removed from the infectious joy of his music. In 2021, he was arrested and charged with the murder of his cousin in Georgia. The legal proceedings and subsequent incarceration effectively ended his career, leaving a legacy overshadowed by personal tragedy. Today, Silentó is remembered as a pioneer of the viral age, a star who reached the absolute zenith of global visibility, only to see his future vanish in a heartbreaking collapse of fame and reality. Debelah Morgan. The landscape of turn-of-the-century R&B was often divided between streetwise hip-hop soul and polished pop, but Debelah Morgan occupied a lane entirely her own. A classically trained musician with a staggering 5-octave vocal range, the Detroit-born singer brought a level of technical precision and operatic flair to the genre that drew comparisons to icons like Minnie Riperton and Mariah Carey. Her journey to stardom was a testament to resilience. Before her definitive breakthrough, she navigated a decade of industry hurdles, including a debut album on Atlantic Records in 1994 that saw moderate success and a second project that was unfortunately shelved in the United States, seeing release only in international markets like Japan. Her persistence finally culminated in a massive global explosion in the year 2000. Returning to Atlantic Records, she released the infectious, dance-oriented masterpiece, Dance With Me. The track was a brilliant fusion of contemporary R&B rhythms and a sophisticated sample of the 1954 standard, Hernando's Hideaway, showcasing her ability to blend vintage Broadway elegance with modern club energy. The song became a commercial juggernaut, peaking at number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100 and dominating the dance charts. It wasn't just a hit, it was a vocal showcase that highlighted her effortless whistle register and impeccable control, earning her widespread acclaim as one of the most gifted vocalists of her generation. Her third album, also titled Dance With Me, solidified her as a multifaceted artist who could write and produce her own material. However, the rapid transition of R&B toward the grittier mid-2000s crunk and snap movements left little room for Morgan's refined melodic style. Following the success of her 2000 album, she chose to pivot toward her personal passions and spiritual roots. In 2005, she released a gospel-inspired project titled Light at the End of the Tunnel, and by 2010, she had fully transitioned into a leadership role as a worship leader at her church in Las Vegas. While she briefly returned to the stage to perform with the legendary R&B group, Royce Morgan largely stepped away from the mainstream music industry to focus on her faith and community. Today, Debelah Morgan is remembered as a vocal powerhouse whose brief moment at the top of the charts remains a high-water mark for musicality and technical excellence in R&B. Mona Lisa. In the mid-1990s, the R&B scene was shifting toward a gritty street soul aesthetic often referred to as hip-hop soul. Rising from the church choirs of Yonkers, New York, the same city that produced Mary J. Blige, Mona Lisa-born Kimberly Ledbetter emerged as a prodigious talent with a voice that commanded immediate attention. Her journey to the spotlight was a classic New York hustle. She was a frequent winner of local talent shows and famously captivated the notoriously difficult audience at the Apollo Theater in Harlem. Her big break arrived at the age of 15 when she sang an a cappella rendition of His Eye is on the Sparrow for Hiram Hicks, the CEO of Island Black Music. Blown away by her raw vocal power, Hicks signed her, immediately branding her with the enigmatic stage name that reflected her timeless and captivating presence. Her debut in 1996 was a cultural cornerstone for young R&B fans. The lead single, Can't Be Wasting My Time, featuring the hip-hop duo Lost Boys, became an instant staple of the era. The track was a perfect blend of melodic R&B and boom-bap energy, perfectly capturing the teenage angst and confidence of the mid-90s. It reached number 65 on the Billboard Hot 100, but performed significantly better on the R&B and dance charts, peaking at 20. Her debut album, 11/20/79, titled after her birth date, showcased a mature beyond her years vocal range and established her as a rising star alongside peers like Aaliyah and Brandy. She was more than just a singer. She was a songwriter and producer in the making, possessing a deep understanding of the street soul sound. However, the fickle nature of the music industry and shifting label priorities eventually stalled her momentum. Her follow-up efforts, including the socially conscious song You Said and the single Peach, failed to receive the necessary promotional backing, leading to the shelving of her sophomore album, Getting It On. Faced with the instability of the business, Mona Lisa made the courageous decision to prioritize her education and explore other creative outlets, including modeling and writing. While she made a notable cameo on Cameron's 2004 track, Girls, she largely transitioned into a private life away from the relentless scrutiny of the charts. Today, Mona Lisa is remembered as a quintessential voice of the hip-hop soul era, a talent whose brief but impactful career provided the soundtrack to a definitive moment in New York music history. Johnny Kemp. In the late 1980s, the emergence of New Jack Swing revolutionized the sound of urban radio, blending soulful melodies with aggressive, danceable hip-hop percussion. At the forefront of this movement was Johnny Kemp, a Bahamian singer and producer who possessed a unique ability to bridge international rhythms with American street sensibilities. Before his voice dominated the global airwaves, Kemp was a seasoned professional in the New York music scene, spending years as a background vocalist and session musician for groups like the BB&Q Band and Change. His Caribbean roots and extensive experience behind the scenes gave him a distinct musical vocabulary, allowing him to navigate the transition from traditional funk to the high-energy aesthetic of the late 80s with effortless grace. His definitive contribution to music history arrived in 1988 with the release of the massive crossover hit Just Got Paid. Produced by the legendary Teddy Riley, the song captured a universal sentiment, the infectious joy of financial freedom at the start of the weekend. Characterized by its driving bass line and Kemp's exuberant, commanding vocals, the track became a global cultural phenomenon. It skyrocketed to number 1 on the US R&B charts and secured the number 10 spot on the Billboard Hot 100, eventually earning a gold certification for selling over 1 million copies. Just Got Paid wasn't just a hit, it became a perennial anthem for working-class culture, played in every club, party, and radio station from New York to London. His second album, Secrets of Flying, further proved his versatility, cementing his status as a pioneer of the New Jack Swing era. Despite the monumental impact of Just Got Paid, Kemp found it increasingly difficult to sustain that level of mainstream visibility as the industry's sonic landscape began to shift in the early 90s. While he had minor success with Birthday Suit from the movie Sing, he eventually stepped back from the solo spotlight to focus on varied creative projects, including performing with the children's cover band Sugar Beats alongside the daughter of Carole King. Tragically, the world lost this vibrant artist in 2015 at the age of 55. Today, Johnny Kemp is remembered as a powerhouse performer whose signature hit remains an inescapable part of the musical atmosphere. Every time Friday afternoon rolls around, his voice still serves as the ultimate celebration of hard work and the freedom that follows it. Jimmy Cozier. The transition from the 1990s to the 2000s in R&B was defined by a shift toward a more polished mid-tempo sound that blended classic soul sensibilities with modern hip-hop production. At the heart of this evolution was Jimmy Cozier, an American singer-songwriter whose musical DNA was woven long before he ever stood center stage. Raised in a household that cherished music, Cozier's upbringing was his training ground, where family gatherings often turned into impromptu vocal showcases. Before his own face graced album covers, he was a formidable architect behind the scenes, lending his songwriting prowess and background vocals to industry titans. His pen helped craft hits like Girlfriend, Boyfriend for Janet Jackson and Blackstreet, and his voice supported the likes of Lil' Kim and Junior M.A.F.A. on their gritty tracks. His major breakthrough arrived in 2001, catalyzed by a high-stakes introduction to music mogul Clive Davis by Wyclef Jean. Signed to J Records, Cozier released his definitive anthem, She's All I Got. The track was a masterclass in modern soul featuring a smooth acoustic guitar-driven melody that perfectly complemented his warm emotive vocals. It became an immediate commercial success, soaring to number 26 on the Billboard Hot 100 and reaching an impressive number 4 on the R&B charts. His self-titled debut album, Jimmy Cozier, further showcased his depth as an artist, featuring a high-profile collaboration with Alicia Keys on the track Mr. Man. Cozier wasn't just a singer, he was a musician's musician, possessing a rare ability to infuse pop-accessible melodies with the raw sincerity of old-school rhythm and blues. However, the rapid consolidation of the music industry and the shifting priorities of major labels eventually pushed Cozier back toward his roots in songwriting and production. While his follow-up single, So Much to Lose, failed to capture the same mainstream lightning as his debut, he chose to leverage his talents elsewhere, writing for a new generation of stars, including Chris Brown, Olivia, and Sherry Dennis. When J Records shuttered, he maintained his creative independence by launching his own label, Cozy Music Inc. Today, Jimmy Cozier is respected as an artist who prioritizes artistic integrity over fleeting trends. While the general public remembers him for one massive summer hit, the music industry honors him as a versatile creator whose influence continues to resonate through the voices of the superstars he helped elevate. Truth Hurts. At the turn of the millennium, Dr. Dre's Aftermath Entertainment was the most formidable fortress in hip-hop, but it needed a voice that could bring a soulful, avant-garde edge to its clinical production. Enter Truth Hurts born Sherry Watson, a vocalist whose stage name reflected her commitment to raw, uncompromising lyricism. Before becoming a solo powerhouse, she was a seasoned veteran of the industry's inner circles, lending her background vocals to rap royalty like Busta Rhymes and D12. Her presence was always felt a haunting melodic force operating just behind the spotlight. When Dr. Dre finally positioned her center stage in 2002, she didn't just arrive. She disrupted the R&B landscape with a sound that felt both ancient and futuristic. Her definitive breakthrough, Addictive, was a global phenomenon that redefined the boundaries of R&B. Produced by DJ Quick and featuring a legendary verse from Rakim, the track was built around a hypnotic, high-pitched sample from a 1982 Hindi song, Thoda Rasham Lagta Hai. The result was an intoxicating blend of Bollywood melody and West Coast funk that proved irresistible to audiences worldwide. The song soared to number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100 and reached the top 5 in the UK, earning gold certifications across Europe. Her debut album, Truthfully Speaking, was a critical triumph, featuring production from heavyweights like Timbaland and High Tech. Truth Hurts wasn't just a singer, she was a sonic explorer, bringing a global perspective to a genre that often felt insular. However, the very element that made Addictive a masterpiece also became its greatest obstacle. The uncleared Hindi sample triggered a staggering $500 million lawsuit against Aftermath and Interscope, leading to a legal battle that stalled the label's momentum for her project. While she continued to appear on high-profile tracks like Jay-Z's The Watcher 2, her follow-up solo material struggled to find the same radio oxygen. By the mid-2000s, Truth Hurts transitioned into theater and independent film, eventually relocating to Europe, where she found a more appreciative audience for her experimental soul. Today, she is remembered as a visionary artist who provided one of the most unique and daring hits of the 21st century, a reminder that sometimes the most addictive sounds are the ones that defy all conventions. Town DJs. In the mid-1990s, Atlanta became the epicenter of a high-energy musical movement known as Miami Bass, and at the heart of this wave stood Town DJs. In reality, this was not a traditional group, but a collective of talented producers and artists led by Rodney Terry under the mentorship of mogul Jermaine Dupri and the So Def label. Town DJs represented a pivotal shift in urban music where rapid electronic drum beats blended perfectly with smooth R&B melodies, creating a sound that was vibrant enough for the dance floor, yet sophisticated enough for radio play. Their eternal legacy was cemented in '96 with the release of the hit My Boo. Featuring the soulful lead vocals of singer Virgo, the track is a masterpiece of Atlanta bass music, possessing one of the most recognizable choruses of all time. Initially, the song achieved impressive commercial success, reaching number 31 on the Billboard Hot 100 and becoming a staple of summer parties. However, the true magic happened in 2016, 20 years after its release, when the Running Man Challenge dance craze exploded on social media. Thanks to the power of the internet, My Boo experienced a massive resurgence, returning to the Billboard charts at number 27, a rare feat for a song 2 decades old. Despite My Boo becoming an irreplaceable cultural icon, Town DJs struggled to maintain their identity as a consistent musical entity. The eventual fracturing of the collective and individual members pursuing separate projects meant they never produced a follow-up album of equal weight. Nevertheless, this does not diminish their influence. My Boo has been sampled and covered by countless modern artists from Kara to Drake, proving that a great groove never goes out of style. Today, Town DJs are remembered as the architects who provided the heartbeat for the memories of multiple generations, proving that in music, sometimes you only need one perfect moment to become immortal. Joyce Sims. In the late 1980s, the Atlantic Ocean seemed to shrink as a new sound began to vibrate between the underground clubs of London and the street corners of New York City. At the heart of this sonic bridge was Joyce Sims, a singer-songwriter and multi-instrumentalist from Rochester, New York. Unlike many female R&B vocalists of her time, who were merely interpreters of someone else's vision, Sims was a formidable creative force. Classically trained on the piano, she wrote her own lyrics and composed her own melodies, a rarity that earned her immense respect in a male-dominated industry. Her music was the perfect fusion of soulful, gospel-inflected vocals and the stuttering, hypnotic drum machine patterns that defined the early house and freestyle movements. Her definitive breakthrough arrived in 1987 with the release of the timeless anthem, Come Into My Life. The track was an atmospheric masterpiece characterized by its moody synthesizer bass line and Sims' cool, understated vocal delivery. While it reached a respectable number 10 on the US Billboard R&B chart, its impact in Europe was seismic. The song peaked at 7 on the UK singles chart and became a foundational blueprint for the UK soul sound that would later produce the artists like Soul 2, Soul and Sod. The success of her debut album, also titled Come Into My Life, proved that she wasn't just a club act, she was a global star. Her music achieved a rare feat, earning gold certification in several territories and becoming a permanent fixture on dance floors from Manchester to Manhattan. Despite her immense talent and a string of follow-up club hits like All in All and the shifting sands of the 1990s music industry proved difficult to navigate. As R&B moved toward the new jack swing and hip-hop soul eras, Sims' unique brand of electronic soul was pushed to the margins of the mainstream. However, she refused to let her voice be silenced. She transitioned into independent artistry, continuing to tour globally and releasing well-received projects like 1,000 Stars in 2006. Tragically, Joyce Sims passed away in October 2022 at the age of 63, just as a new generation of electronic producers began to rediscover and sample her work. Today, she is remembered not just as a one-hit wonder, but as a sophisticated architect of club music, a woman whose pen and voice helped define the soundtrack of an era where soul met the machine. While many of these artists are labeled one-hit wonders, their singular contributions often redefine the sonic landscape of R&B. From Eden's Crush to Joyce Sims, these legends prove that a massive peak doesn't always guarantee a lifelong climb, yet their footprints remain permanent. At Black Excellence Legends, we believe these stars deserve more than just a footnote in history. They represent the volatile intersection of raw talent and industry politics. This raises a pressing question. Does a one-hit legacy diminish an artist's greatness, or is capturing the world's heart just once the ultimate mark of excellence